So definitely with starting last year in COVID, kind of wreaking havoc within the business community, there were definitely some assistance afforded to small businesses with the Payment Protection Program known as PPP and the EIDL. So definitely wanted to share some updates with those. If you haven't heard already, there's definitely been a second draw available to participants for the PPP, and that is actually ending March 31st. So if you have not taken advantage of that opportunity, time is definitely ticking to do that. Also, if you applied the first time, there's been a simplified loan forgiveness for loans that were under 150,000. So they've definitely simplified that process for us and made it a little bit easier. There is a requirement if your small business and you're applying for the second round that you have to show a 25% or more decrease in your revenue from 2019 to 2020. And this can be in any of the 4 quarters within the year. So you can pick one of the 4 quarters that you show that 25% or more decrease in your revenue to be eligible to receive a second round of PPP. The calculation still remains that is 2.5 times the average monthly cost, and that cap is at $2 million for businesses. One thing that I love that they've changed is that originally the payroll costs, the PPP was used for payroll costs. It was used for mortgage, interest, rent, and utilities. However, we've definitely seen an increase in spending for sanitization and cleanliness for their business use. So definitely any worker protection costs related to the pandemic, as far as cleaning, PPE for employees, and any health screenings that are required, that cost could definitely be included within this loan. Also, the increased technology costs used to support remote environments. A lot of businesses have just chosen to go remote, so that's increased security with VPN access, definitely having support systems such as Zoom or WebEx, things of that nature. So those costs can be included. So now we have the opportunity to, have more costs that we can be factored in this time, which is really great for businesses. Update for EIDL, that has been extended through the end of this year. So there's plenty of time to apply for that loan if there's a need for that. The terms remain the same as 3.75 over 30 years. So that term remains the same as it was initially. And now they've extended the cost to cover more normal operating expenses and also for working capital for the business. And also, if the loan exceeds $25,000, there's also collateral required for that. Initially, there was the EIDL advance, and this was $1,000 per employee, up to $10,000 that you could receive on the front end, and then you would have the opportunity to have the loan. And so now they've kind of targeted that advance. So now they're looking to include lower income communities, and there's a 30% loss, economic loss that is a requirement to have for that advance. And now they've actually are reaching out to those companies and organizations that they feel meet this threshold. They're reaching out to them individually to apply for this advance. So there's nothing extra that you have to do for the advance. The SBA will just reach out to you should they feel that you're a candidate for this advance. Also want to highlight some income tax law changes. There are a lot of just changes across the board, and we are just trying our best to keep abreast of those and keep up to date. But I thought these few changes I wanted to highlight would be key for you all. First change, IRA owners over 59.5%. can now have the opportunity to transfer unlimited amounts to charities. Before that limit was capped. And so that's a huge change for those that wanted to give back to various charities. Also, with charitable deductions before, you really didn't see the benefit of from a tax perspective of giving charities and seeing that on your tax return until you had the opportunity to itemize. So now there is a $300 charitable deduction off the top, whether you itemize or not. And that's $600 for married couples as well. So you don't have to itemize to take advantage of that $300 or $600 deduction. This is probably most favorite of those. The next one, now business meals and beverages will now be 100% tax deductible for 2021 and 2022 tax year. So this is really huge. Before it was only capped at 50%. And so now they are just trying to encourage it's best, through social distancing and safety measures, but also encourage the revenue in the restaurant industry to still remain strong, as well as supporting, networking through businesses and things of that nature. The IRS knows that that is how, deals are made. People get together, they meet, over food and discuss various projects and upcoming opportunities to network. So this will be huge for this year and the next year. And just remember to be sure to, document whenever you do this on, your receipts, and document the purpose of the meeting as well as the parties that were involved. The next option for the tax law change, and these are changes that have already been established. So medical expenses, there was a 7.5% cap of your AGI. And so everything that exceeds that 7.5% of your AGI is now allowed to be deductible. So this is really huge as COVID has kind of wreaked havoc in many families, unfortunately, and there have been a number of just increased medical expenses among us as taxpayers. So this is really huge. So again, be sure just to keep your documentation and record that as well. Educator expense, this has kind of been a staple. Each educator is allowed $250 per year to be deductible, but this time they're allowing that deduction to use for PPE. Most times teachers just spend their own funds for supplies, that they need for their classroom and for their students. But this time, in order to stay safe, those teachers have had to buy, their own personal equipment for safety measures. And so that's going to be allowable this time, which is really huge. All right, so on this slide, these are more proposed tax plans. This is just in the work under the new administration with President Biden. And these are just key elements that he is looking to have changed within the next tax plan. So the first one is very crucial, increase federal minimum wage to $15 per hour. So this will be very crucial as we kind of look to see the proposals on this, and then moving into legislation that businesses begin to adequately plan for their cash flow and being able to, support their employees and look to hire, as they look to hire going forward, this increase. So definitely, keep that on your radar, and, we'll kind of keep, up to date on that and how that moves through legislation as well. The next one is referring to retirement savings, and there will be a tax credit for small businesses for making sure you adopt those retirement savings. So this is really huge. They're just trying to encourage more investing and long-term planning with employees, and taking advantage of the retirement savings that you as employers are offering. So this will be really huge going forward to receive those tax credits. There is a plan to impose a 12.4 Social Security payroll tax, and this is just for wages above 400,000. So remember that cap, that there will be an additional tax imposed. And also on the corporate income tax level, there will be a 21, currently 21%. So they're imposing a 28%, the increase there. So again, these are just imposed or proposed plans going forward that will obviously have to move through legislation, but we definitely want to keep you abreast of those, for you to keep in the forefront of your business plans going forward. And the last slide, I'll just talk about building your business resiliency. We are just still, in my opinion, in uncharted territories. I think no one knew that we would still be, in the state that we're in, going back to last year. Or something of that nature, packing up my laptop, and I was like, oh, I'll be back. We have to just kind of adapt to where we are, and definitely make the best of it, and have a game plan going forward. So I just have a few tips here that if you, and I wrote down the kind of work that you all are doing and the businesses that you own, but just in thinking about this, look to try to create a long-term virtual game plan. If you're a brick and mortar and the services that you're offering can only be by a physical visit, try to create ways to extend that option virtual, by offering services online. I take it the church is now probably doing virtual church. I know mine is for the Norwood Clinic. I'm sure you're doing some online portal and things of that nature to definitely kind of make sure that it provides a little bit convenience for both, the client and you as the employer and as the business owner. But definitely keep that in mind going forward. And I think that's really going to be the key to survival, is to really engaging with those, virtually. That's just, where we are and will be for a while. The second one is to organize your financial data. This was really, really crucial with, folks applying for the PPP and the EIDL and other grants and other fundings that, your paperwork just had to be in order. You had to be able to have those financial documents at a reach or at the push of a button, because things were just moving so fast and the funding, it was here today and gone tomorrow. And so I think that's really, really crucial in making sure that your data is just organized, that you're able to know where you are financially to help make decisions going forward. And this is in terms of not only having access to capital, but also, from an employer standpoint, to make sure that you have enough to, have for your employees, that, you're able to still offer, some benefits if you can, and just, make sound financial decisions about where you need to go. So that's been really crucial. That's what I've seen, is that most of these, grants, while they've been great and they want to offer assistance, and they have, but they also want to know what you're doing with the funds, and, just being able to easily report what you're doing and keep documentation so that you can show that you've been a good steward of the funds that you've been allowed to have. Also, continue to research financial assistance. There's just been a plethora of aid that's been available, not only through PPP and the EIDL, but the state grants have been available. There are other grants for being women-owned or minority-owned, or being a faith-based institution or medical supplier. So they're definitely segmented ways or segmented options for receiving funds. So definitely keep abreast of, those opportunities to have financial assistance. Definitely, I'm sure the chamber is supplying, information, but look to your city municipality as well, and as far as the local and the state level as well. And the last one, just to diversify your portfolio. Continue to think of creative ways to, make a profit, to reach the community, definitely to have your names out there, to show not only from a financial standpoint, but just from a community standpoint, to show that you're really caring about the community that you're established in, and people remember that. And in time of need, they remember that, and they're available to share. I think Lindsay mentioned that the Hugh that she was meeting with Hugh Chamber, and so they're going to help definitely in the aid of, with the last tornado and any assistance. So definitely those relationships, those networking and marketing with those that are in your industry, very crucial during this time. And so I just wanted to definitely highlight the hot topics within accounting and tax, and then just show some good business tips. And I'll just provide my contact information if you like to have it. But I'm open for any questions you guys may have or any discussion. I'm not sure how much time we have, so Lindsay, you'll have to let me know. So
yeah, we still have a few more minutes for question and answer for sure. Thank you so much. That was a great presentation. I've jotting down some notes as well. There was one question in the chat. Let's see. Lindsay Harris wants to know, is there a forgiveness for the EIDL?
So to answer your question, the EIDL is still a loan. And so that's still payable for the terms of the 30 years. So that's still a loan. The PPP is a loan as well, but you're able to apply for the forgiveness based on showing documentation that you have used payroll costs or used any of the other categories for that purpose. So the EIDL is still a loan and uneligible for forgiveness.